Hey everyone, this is the Shadow Bird. I want to say hello to all the people following me on foxsports.com, and this is going to be the first ever Grand Big 12 and Tulsa bowl game preview. It's all the Big 12 teams plus Tulsa because I'm from Oklahoma, so I feel like I got to throw them in too. I don't have a lot of time here on YouTube, so I'm going to get right into it, starting with the Holiday Bowl in San Diego, which will be Thursday the 27th at 8 p.m. Arizona State, the away team, versus Texas, the home team. Arizona State, I know, is a tough team. They've only got 2 losses on the season to both Oregon and USC. But, you know, they did win against another kind of tough team of Colorado, who beat my Sooners earlier in the year. And as for Texas, well, Texas, they really haven't had that good of a season. So, as is my method, I am not going to predict scores, but I am going to predict winners. And in this case, for the Holiday Bowl, I've got to go with Arizona State. I think, as much as I hate to admit it, the Pac-10 is a strong conference, and any team that comes out of there with only 2 losses is formidable. So I'm going to put my pick on Arizona State. Okay, second bowl game, the Alamo Bowl on the 29th. It's, of course, in San Antonio. Penn State versus Texas A&M. Now, Penn State has not had a very good season. They only have 4 losses, granted, but and all 4 of the losses were to fairly good teams, including Michigan State. But the people they've won against, however, are not that great teams. I mean, Florida International, who they beat in the first game, went winless. Notre Dame almost went winless. So Penn State is not what I would consider a very strong team. Texas A&M, on the other hand, they beat Texas. They played Kansas close, and Kansas was actually a pretty tough team. And they've won against, well, the teams they won against aren't that great either, but I'm going to go with Texas A&M, even though I'm not really a big Aggies fan here. I'm going to give them the nod. Okay. The Independence Bowl in Shreveport on the 30th will be Alabama versus Colorado. And Colorado, we know, their major win this past season. And Alabama, well, let's just say their season with Nick Saban wasn't that great. I mean, their most notable games were, they did win against Arkansas, but they lost in overtime against Georgia. And they also lost to LSU and perennial almost contender for the national title, Auburn. So you got to watch out for Colorado. I'm going to pick Colorado. Okay. Next, on New Year's Eve in Tempe, the Insight Bowl, Indiana versus Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, they lost fairly handily to Georgia, but they beat Texas Tech closely, who beat my team Oklahoma. And they also lost a close one against Texas. On the other hand, Indiana, they have 5 losses on the season, including 1 loss to Penn State and another loss to a person who is now a team that is now in a BCS Bowl, Illinois. So it's a tough choice, but being the Big 12 loyalist I am, I think I'm going to go with Oklahoma State. Okay, next, the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. Really big bowl around these parts. The Missouri Tigers versus the Arkansas Razorbacks. Now, Arkansas, their major win of the season was the overtime win at the end against LSU. Other than that, they've lost to Alabama and they've lost to Auburn, but those are really only the major losses they've had. Now, Missouri, for the longest time, honestly, I thought they were going to be the class of the Big 12 because they beat Kansas and they were playing well the whole season. And then came the Big 12 championship. And then, you know, they lost to Big 12 champion Oklahoma. So this is another veritable coin flip for me. Even allowing for the layoff, I think Arkansas's got a little bit more momentum coming off a win against LSU, although they have had the longer layoff. And you got to watch out for Darren McFadden, of course. So I'm going to pick the Arkansas Razorbacks narrowly. Next up, the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville on New Year's Day, as was the Cotton Bowl. Texas Tech versus Virginia. Now, of course, Texas Tech's major win was against Oklahoma at the end of the season. And Virginia has only 3 losses on the season to Virginia Tech, North Carolina State, and Wyoming. The notable wins, well, for Virginia, there really aren't any. So, as much as I have declared cannily against Texas Tech, and if you really want to know, shoot me an email, jrkfirebird@gmail.com. I'm going to go with Texas Tech on this. I hate to admit it, but I'm going to pick them. Okay, on the second, the Fiesta Bowl in Glendale, West Virginia versus Oklahoma. West Virginia had an excellent season. They could have been in the national title game, and they choked it in the last game. Meanwhile, Oklahoma, my team by default, the Sooners, played very well in the Big 12 championship game, and they've got something to prove because I think they've got the best case of anyone for being snubbed from the national title game. So, Oklahoma's got something to prove. So, I'm going to pick Oklahoma. Okay, on the third, at 8 p.m. in the Orange Bowl in Miami, we've got Kansas versus Virginia Tech. And Kansas, again, played very well until close to the end of the season when they got beat by Missouri. Other than that, they had a very good season, beating everyone they came across except for Missouri. Meanwhile, Virginia Tech's got, well, really no notable wins unless you count Boston College as a notable win. So Kansas also has a case for being snubbed. I'm going to go with them, favor them in this game. And I really got to speed this up. GMAC Bowl, Tulsa versus Bowling Green. Tulsa narrowly lost Conference USA. And I really think they've got the edge over Bowling Green. And the Sugar. And last but not least, this is going to be your bonus. The Sugar Bowl, New Orleans, Hawaii, right place, wrong day. I think they should be playing for the national title game. They were undefeated. And Georgia, well, their most notable win here, well, they don't really have a most notable win, so I actually hope Hawaii wins. Okay, that's it for this grand preview. Sorry it was rushed. See you next time.